Teacup, Tempest by Wigworm. It had taken weeks to get back to about where they'd been before Maki's last day with Anbu Yu, and Kakashi was happy that she had been letting him help. He thought that she was getting better a lot quicker than she would have if he hadn't have been allowed to. Obviously, the additional help from Anko and Kurenai was good for her as well. Occasionally, he worried that she was hiding her fear of him under her training to be a battle shinobi, but those thoughts were put to rest soon enough. Having never been a battle shinobi, Maki was working hard at the skills that her friends were willing to show her in their free time, which was pretty much anything she asked. Her taijutsu was coming along nicely, Kakashi had learned from Guy. He also got an unofficial report from Anko that Maki had excellent aim and hand-eye coordination, but little experience with kunai. She was learning fast, though. From what Kakashi had been told from Kurenai, Maki was either completely unsuited for or was an idiot savant at Jujutsu. After 2 weeks of intense work, Kurenai still didn't know which category Maki fell under. There was something brewing under all of Maki's returning cheer, though, and Kakashi was worried about how it would come out. Deciding that he had to confront Maki about the underlying problem with him, so they could get it out and discuss it and work it out. He made sure that all 4 of their friends, Guy, Anko, Kurenai, and Asuma, knew that he was going to be talking to her seriously. Anko and Kurenai promptly put in a bid to babysit the 2-year-old who had started to actually speak inside of babble, and Kakashi agreed. He trusted the daycare, but he trusted Anko and Kurenai far more. I can get my team to meet me on a Saturday. They wouldn't mind, Kurenai mused, planning a picnic and some fun on the weekend with a baby. Kakashi frowned and shook his head. I don't think that's a good idea, he commented. Your team, he trailed off, unsure of why he didn't want to say anything more. He didn't want to tell the woman that Hito looked like someone her team had gone to the academy with. A grin spread over Azuma's face. Well, we can give Hito-chan one of your masks. Hide who he is. A slow grin made its way over Kakashi's face, and he nodded. Hito-chan does like to wear masks, doesn't he? It was a good plan. Kurenai could convince Maki that she wanted to babysit and take Hito for the afternoon, giving the boy a mask as soon as Maki was out of sight, and then she could entertain Hito while his mother and Kakashi worked out whatever there was to work out. With the plan set, Kakashi waited patiently for Saturday. It came quickly. So Kurenai has Hito-chan? He asked, leading Maki to one of the outermost training areas. It wasn't as far from Konoha proper as the training ground Maki went to with Guy, so she didn't seem worried about the distance between Konoha and where Kakashi stopped. Hi! Maki smiled brightly. She still wants a baby, and who am I to deny her the opportunity to babysit? She laughed, and Kakashi laughed along with her. His laugh didn't sound nearly as happy as Maki's, and she noticed immediately. Kakashi? What's wrong? He didn't know how to ease her into this conversation. He didn't want to hurt her, though. Maki-chan, when you came home from your last day on your mission, I apologized. She blanched, and he continued. I was apologizing for scaring you, but I didn't get to finish telling you that. Maki closed her arms around her torso, blinking and lifting her head at a stubborn angle. And? She asked, voice fluctuating in intense emotional upheaval. Why did you react like you did? He wanted to know why she hadn't trusted him. He'd spent over 6 months getting to know her and her son, and she'd just run like he was a dangerous stranger. Maki lowered her head and turned her face away. I can't really explain, she whispered. Was it something that I did? Kakashi begged for an answer. He had to know how to fix this mistake that he'd made with her. Was it something that I didn't do? You didn't come for me! Maki suddenly shouted, looking into his gray eye. You didn't come for me! This time, it was Kakashi's turn to reel back in shock. It was over and done with at 1300 hours, and I was left there tied down, and I couldn't get out, and you never came for me! Maki-chan, Kakashi shook his head. I told you! I said I would be at the park at 5! She poked him hard in the chest with an accusing finger. When I didn't show up, why didn't you look for me? Maki-chan, you were on a mission. I couldn't just... I don't care! You were supposed to like me. I thought you knew me. You were supposed to help me, and you left me for hours by myself alone and Maki broke down, tears running down her face. Kakashi moved in, opening his arms. Maki lunged at him, curling up into his body, holding tight to his vest. "You left me, you jerk! And I trust you so much, and you stomped on that like it isn't worth anything!" There was only one thing that relieved Kakashi about Maki's outburst, and it was that Maki said that she trusted him in present tense and not in past tense. That meant that she still trusted him, even after not looking for her and leaving her alone for hours and hours. His arms came up around her and held her close, rocking her back and forth as he hugged her, and she cried out her anger at him. He wouldn't do anything to hurt her again. He couldn't. It just couldn't happen, because when she was hurt, he could feel it. He could see the hurt in her face and beautiful eyes, and it hurt him when she shied from his touch or shivered from fear. It was a long time before Maki, and Kakashi for that matter, calmed down significantly enough to continue talking with each other. Though now, with a major secret out in the open, they found it oddly easy to just whisper most of their secrets and fears to each other, huddled together under a tree in the fading light of afternoon. When the sun was just setting, Kakashi helped Maki to her feet, and they brushed the grass off of their clothing and smiled shyly at one another. Kakashi pulled his mask back up, and they made their way towards Kurenai's house, hand in hand. They found her Genin team still there. Hito laying curled up to Inuzuka Kiba's thigh, the white Akamaru clutched tight in his arms. "Kurenai." Kakashi shuffled towards the jonin in her kitchen while Maki went to the couch and her son. "Kakashi, how did it go?" "We managed to get most of it worked out, I think," he told her softly. They watched the Genin team look between Maki, Hito, and Kakashi, drawing the same conclusion that Asuma had once made when he'd seen the toddler wearing a mask that matched Kakashi's. Hinata Hyuga was the one to shore up the bravery and wander into the kitchen and blush, folding her fingers together. Kakashi-sensei?" she asked in the softest voice Kakashi had ever heard anyone speak in. "Hito-chan is Katsumaki's son, correct?" "Yes," Kakashi replied blandly, pretty sure he knew where she was going to go next. "And you are..." Hinata lowered her voice even more. "Dating?" "Yes, Hinata-kun." Kakashi smiled, proud that he could see improvement with the girl's shyness in such a short period of time after working with Kurenai. Oh! Hinata blushed crimson, opened her mouth to say something more, but then practically bolted from the room before anything came out. Kakashi and Kurenai shared a look, and both shook their head, amused and pleased with the girl. "Kakashi, we can go home now." Maki stood up from the couch, and Kakashi wandered his way over to the teenager and her son. "Is Hito-chan still asleep?" he asked, stepping into her personal space and looking over her shoulder at Hito in her arms. He was more than pleased that she didn't flinch from him in any way, shape, or form. She still trusted him. "Yes." She smiled down at her son and leaned back into his arms.